Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my ranking of all the Power Rangers Clip Show holiday specials. Now, depending on how the timeline of this upload works, this will be uploading on Christmas or the day after. So it may be merry day after Christmas, so just, be warned I might have been a little bit late on it. And also, just like a sort of disclaimer at the beginning, for this ranking list it was a little bit weird because you might really disagree with me on some of the rankings, but I more so approached the rankings for this of like, which ones would I want to pop on at Christmas that gave me a good Christmas vibe during this rewatch. And I think there's some episodes on this list that are higher than others that I would argue objectively are worse, but just gave me a better Christmas vibe, and I just preferred the use of the clips in a certain way, if that makes sense. So just a fair warning, and also, as always, this is my opinion, not the right opinion. The thing at the bottom is Here Comes Hexamis from Supercharged. Now this is a weird one because I really did not like this episode when it first came out because I was really negative on Dino Charge at the time, but I've since come around to the series, and so I liked it a little bit more this time, but there's always just been something about this episode that rubbed me the wrong way. Like, the premise isn't bad, it's kind of post-series, you get some fun stuff like the dinosaurs with the Christmas gear on, you got like more of the extended cast returning, which was nice, but I just really wasn't a fan of, I don't know, maybe it's just the over-the-top elf performances that annoyed me and the forced way they had to remind people of who they were. Like, it wasn't necessarily awful per se, but this episode just always kind of annoyed me, and so it wasn't really an episode I was eager to put on during the holiday season. After that is the Poisey show. This is a weird one because it's like part holiday clip show, part sort of mini team up because of the Scrozzle brothers, and there's actually some enjoyable moments with the Scrozzle brothers, and I like that they did that, and I think the general premise is actually kind of neat, even though I don't like Cassandra, I don't like that bench, no, I just don't like her, but I think the general premise isn't so bad, but the general setup more works for a team up, and I felt this episode had very little to do with Christmas in a lot of ways, which is funny because I talked about in my criticism of the way they do holiday specials of like, if you can't think of an idea for a holiday special, you could just have a normal episode take place around the holiday. And oddly enough, that's what this felt like. It felt like Christmas was just a bookend to this idea for a clip show team up. So this isn't a terrible episode, and I'll be talking about it more when I get to it in the Team Up Rewind series, but just as a Christmas special, it's a little weak. Then I have Race to Rescue Christmas, which was Dino Charges. Like, this one actually had some enjoyable moments, but there were some parts that just annoyed me about it that hold it back that are kind of petty, if I'm being honest. I think it has a decent Christmas vibe to it, and I actually think it's one of the stronger setups for clips. The basic premise is like Poisey getting her hands on the Naughty Nice machine, and so when you're watching the clips, she's using that to find the Ranger's base, which actually isn't a terrible plan and one of the more organic devices for it. But the main reason that I don't like this episode as much is, like I said, I had a decent Christmas vibe, but there's ones that I liked a little bit more for the Christmas vibe. And the two things that annoyed me about it were, I thought it was really odd there was an international news broadcast about Santa losing his Naughty Nice machine. I know it's a kid's show Christmas special, but that just threw me. And also I was annoyed because one of the main premises of this episode was that Chase was trying to get home to New Zealand to see his little sister, and they're like, oh sorry, you can't go, we gotta solve this crisis. I'm like, dude, there's 5 others of you there. You really couldn't have let Chase fly home for Christmas while you solved this? Like, I get that being a ranger is important, but it always annoys me when they feel like they need all 6 people to do one task when they were just fine with 5 people before. It's like, dude, let Chase go home for Christmas. This is stupid. Also, this whole thing would be solved if teleporting existed still. Then after that, I have Stuck on Christmas, which is a weird one because I would argue in some ways the Dino Charge one is better. But the main thing that I liked about this episode was the interactions between G, Bulk, and Spike, because they're the ones decorating for Christmas at the Shiba house because the Rangers are stuck in the Megazord. And that's kind of a fun premise and idea, even though it ultimately is being used for clip show purposes. I think they could have maybe done something stronger with that. I'm not exactly sure what, but I think there's a missed opportunity there somehow. But I just really liked the interactions between G and Bulk and Spike, and I think that they had a good Christmassy atmosphere there for that, and there was some nice sweet moments with it. Nice callbacks to Strange Case of the Munchies, one of my favorite episodes in the season. And then there was a nice ending where the Rangers get to, or not the Rangers, but Bulk and Spike get to meet the Rangers, which I thought was kind of cool. They had a weird mirroring of the exact ending of the other Samurai Christmas special. I'm like, God, how cheap can you get when you have to reuse that? That was weird that they couldn't have just filmed a different way of Bulk and Spike saying Merry Christmas. And this is probably a little bit higher than people are comfortable with, but is Christmas Together, Friends Forever? Because I mean, why is it controversial? I mean, first of all, that title, just awful. And this is the most clip showiest clip show that ever clip showed. Compared to pretty much any of the other ones on this list, I think this one had the most clips and was the most straightforward clip show. There's probably about maybe less than 10 minutes or something of regular Ranger footage, but I liked the Christmas vibe of this episode. I don't know why, I just liked the atmosphere of the Rangers getting ready at the Sheba house. It gave me kind of a more nice, cozy Christmas vibe than most of the other ones. And also, I think it had one of the most organic clip show setups. Because all the other ones, you know, there's been some clever ones, but I just get annoyed after a while, especially sort of semi-marathoning these of like the forced reasons for the clip show, like we have to help you remember, like remember this time, or let's do a lie detector test. And this one was the most organic and simple way, in the form of Emily writing a letter to her sister. Not only was that simple, but because she was supposed to be the Yellow Samurai Ranger originally, it just made sense. Like, it was annoying that there was so many clips, but it just made so much more organic sense, and it had kind of a nice Christmas vibe. So I don't know, maybe it'll change and I'll be more annoyed by this next time I revisit it, but it had a better Christmas vibe than some of the better ones, or the better episode. After that is Scrozzle's Revenge. This one actually doesn't really have that good of a Christmas vibe, but I kind of liked the premise. I thought it was kind of weird and dumb though, since it's after the finale and Scrozzle returns in this weird Christmas plot where everyone's trapped in ornaments or whatever. But I liked that it put focus on the bee spots, because I love the bee spots, and it kind of sucked at the beginning to see them think that they were being treated like crap, but there was a really nice moment at the end where they were actually surprising them and spending Christmas with them, which I really liked. But I just liked the premise of the Rangers being trapped and the bee spots had to step up and be the ones to take control of the Megazords. So it wasn't that great of a Christmas episode in terms of the vibe I've been talking about, but I just really did like this episode in terms of the premise and the focus on the bee spots. Now, for the top two, I actually have, or most rather name, Past, Present, and Christmas. Now, despite Ninja Steel being one of my overall lesser favorite series, this is actually one of the best clip show episodes and one of the most unique ones, because it basically has Sarah traveling around time almost in-game style to get the ninja stars from throughout time, because the Rangers get trapped, but this is like between seasons when they didn't have their stars, so she uses Santa to go throughout, or she not uses Santa, she uses this device, but she's with Santa, to go throughout time and get the ninja stars from different places in time. So that's how they use the clips. But instead of just being like, okay, here's the clip and then she swipes it, there's some actual interactions and new scenes filmed, and this made this one a lot of fun to watch all the way through. Instead of like checking your phone when the clips are on or fast forwarding them or whatever, it actually incorporated it really well. It was a fun, unique premise and a really surprisingly great Christmas special out of a mediocre season. Now, number one for me is Robo Knight Before Christmas. I think this is just because I really like Robo Knight, and it was kind of a sweet yet cheesy episode, but there's just something I liked about this episode when I saw it, and it's one I've revisited more just because I just kind of like the vibe of it. I like the sort of unique setup with Robo Knight getting sent off, and it's just kind of a sweet episode for Robo Knight with a decent Christmas vibe. But that is my ranking of the clip shows. Let me know what your guys' ranking are of the Christmas and holiday themed clip shows in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. DaweSomeWriter, signing out.